Hey everybody, it's Miss Bettis. So right now I'm going to do the last part, the last 8 questions on your midterm review. So I'm going to start with number 18. It asks us which equation best represents the graph. So here's our graph right here. You always want to start with the y-intercept. It's where the graph crosses the y-axis. And we see that it's at 3. So we're looking at all these equations here so that there's a positive 3 because it's above the x-axis. And all of them have it. So we can't really cross out anything from here. You always want to use process of elimination. Now let's see, what else can we see from this graph? We see that it's going down from left to right. That means our slope is going to be negative. So the number in front of the x has to be negative. We can cross out c because it's positive here, and d because it's positive there. Now let's look at these. What's the difference between these two? Well, if we look at the slopes carefully, we see one has 3 over 2 and the other one has 2 over 3. Well, we know that slope is just rise over run. So let's pick 2 points. And you pick your points based off of the crosshairs. You don't want to pick a point like this right here because it's not in between, like how this point is. Think of like all your video games, Call of Duty and stuff like that. You know you're going to have a good shot when it's right at the crosshair. So between these 2 points, I fell 3, 1, 2, 3, so put negative, and I ran 2. So I know my slope is going to be negative 3 over 2. So which one is our best answer? A. So let's look at number 19. It says the graph below shows 2 lines intersecting at the point 3, 2. One of the lines passes through the origin, we could see that right here, and the other passes through 1, 4, which is right there. Which pair of equations identifies these lines? Now again, just like your EOC, your midterm is going to be timed. You don't have all day to do this, so you want to look at process of elimination. Let's focus on this line right here, because we know that this equation is going to have y equals some number, and then the x, and nothing after it because it goes through the origin, which is 0. So all of these have that except h. H has 2 equations that both have a y-intercept, and we know that's wrong. So we can cross that one out. Now let's see, about this one, it's going up. From left to right, this line goes up. So we know that the slope is going to be a positive number. So we can cross out J and F, which leaves us with our only answer of G. But let's check it out. Let's make sure that it does rise 2 and run 3. So if I go up 2 and run 3, 1, 2, 3, yes, it does have a slope of 2 over 3, 2/3. So we're good. You always want to work smarter, not harder. Number 20. The equation 5x plus 6y equals 30 is in standard form, meaning x and y are on the same side, and the constant's by itself. Which of the following equations is the correct slope-intercept form? Well, we know slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. So the easiest way to do that would be to actually just solve for y. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that equation and solve it for y. So it's 5x plus 6y is equal to 30. So solving this, I want the y by itself and it's attached to a positive 6. So I'm going to look outside this box. I need this over here. So if I want to move it, I have to get rid of it here. So if it's positive, I'm going to subtract, so it goes away. Because if I have 5 x's and I subtract 5 x's, I have no x's over there. But the rule in algebra is what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So I'm going to draw my wall right there. Now, 30 and the negative 5x. We cannot combine those two because x and there's no x over here. They're not like terms. So you want to write the one with the x first, and it's a positive 30. And we're done. Now, the 6 and the y are multiplying. We don't want the 6 next to the y, so if you do opposite. So you're going to divide by 6 on both sides, and then simplify what you can. Before we simplify, we see that it's a negative 5 over 6. So we can cross out B, cross out C, and cross out A, because this is the only one with the negative 5, 6. But let's double check. How many times does 6 go into 30? 5 times. So yes, that's the correct answer. Alright, let's look at the next problem. Number 21 says, or it asks, which graph best represents the relationship shown in the table below? Well, I'm going to take each one of these and give them a color. So, negative 1 and the x, and y is going to be negative 0.5. So I'm going to look at each one of these graphs, and I'm going to put that dot there. So negative 1, comma, negative 0.5. So F has it, G has it, H does not have it, so I can cross that out, and J has it as well. So I'm going to switch colors real quick, just so that we can see it easier. The next one goes through the origin. Goes through the origin, goes through the origin, goes through the origin. So far we can cross out any of those with that one. Let's hope that this next one can cross out another one. 1, comma, 0.5. So they're both positive. So 1.5, can cross that one out. 1.5, that one's good. 1.5. Alright, so now we're down to 2. So this last point is going to be very important that we got it correctly. We're down to 2 problems. 2, comma, 4. Go 2 in the x, go 4 in the y. It's going to be right there. And right there. So because this point is not on the line, it is not it. And the correct answer is J. Number 22. The table below shows the independent and dependent values in a functional relationship. Well, if we remember back, we know independent is x and dependent is y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my calculator, because I have a calculator on this test, and so will you, and you'll have it on the EOC. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you clear it out. Second plus 712, so it says RAM cleared. I'm going to go to my y equals, and you want to put this equation into the calculator first. Exactly how you see it. Remember, f of x is just another way of saying y. So 2x squared plus 5. I'm going to go to my my table by pushing second graph, and I'm going to compare these two tables. So when x was 0, my y should be 5, which it is. When 1, I should have 6, 1, 7. So automatically I can cross out A. It's not A because when x is 1, it is not 6 on my y. I'm going to go back to my y equals, push clear, and type in this next equation. X squared plus 5, second graph, 0, 5, that worked out. 1, 6, that worked out. Move this calculator up so you can see it. 2, 9, that worked out. 3, 14. So far that looks like the best one. But let's check them all, because we might have to do some more work. Go back to your y equals, clear it. 2x plus 5, second graph, 0, 5, 1, 7. Oh, there's a mistake, so it's not C. And the very last one, x plus 5, second graph, 0, 5, 1, 6, 2, 7, and it's 2, 9 on here, so that's wrong. So we're good with B. We're almost done, guys. Ready? Last page. Number 23. It says, if negative 3.5 comma y is a solution to the equation 2x minus 5y equals 10, what is the value of y? Well, since they give you the x but not the y, all we have to do is plug this x into that equation and solve for y. So I'm going to get a little piece of paper and just kind of do this so I can solve it. So I'm plugging, instead of x, I'm going to plug in the negative 3.5 and copy everything down. So minus 5y is equal to 10. So doing that, I need to multiply 2 times negative 3.5. And when I do that, I will get a negative 7. Minus 5y is equal to 10. All I did was multiply those two to get negative 7. Now remember, I'm looking for y. I need y by itself. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. I'll get negative 5y is equal to 17. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to divide by negative 5 on both sides. That way I have y by itself. So doing that, divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5. And when I do that, let's see which answer I get. And I'm just going to plug it straight into my calculator. 17 divided by negative 5. Enter negative 3.4, which is letter F. And the way to double check this would be to plug this answer in for the y. And when I do that, it'll be 2 times negative 3.5 minus 5 times negative 3.4. So let's do that real quick. 2 times negative 3.5, that got me that negative 7, minus 5 times, oh, you can't even see it, sorry, 5 times negative 3.4, which gives me another negative 17. So, negative 7 plus, because 2 negatives give you a positive, 17 gives me 10, which is exactly what I wanted there. So just a quick way to check your work. Alright, last 2 problems, almost done. 24. 24 says, the graph below shows the decrease in the value of a personal computer over 60 months. So we look at our y, here's the money amount. Look at our x, here's the months. It's always good to look at what they're labeled. And this is dollars, months. And we're not going by ones each time on either axis. We're going by 6 over here and 200 on the y. So it asks us, which is a reasonable conclusion about the value of this personal computer during the time shown on the graph? A. Its value at 18 months was twice its value at 36 months. Well, here's 18. If I go up, I see that it's worth 1,200. If I go to 36, I see that it's 800. So, just by looking at that, was the value twice? No, it was not. So that's a false statement. The next one talks about 54 months. Now I'm going to use dashed lines so I don't get confused. So 436 was 800, but it says that it was half. So they have it flipped around. They're saying that 800 is half of 400, which is not true. It's the other way around. The next part, I'm going to switch colors so we don't get confused. This next part says it depreciates 200 every 12 months. So here's 12. Right here. If it was indeed 200 every 12 months, between 0 and 12, we should be at 1,400, which we're not. We're right below it, so that's a false statement. And the very last one, D, which so far should be the correct answer since all these are false, it depreciates, it's going down, 400 every 18 months. Well, here's 18, and we said that that was 1,200. If I subtract 1,600 and 1,200, I do get 400. But if I want to double check it, I'll check 36, and that's 800. So 1200 minus 800 is 400, and I would keep that pattern down. So yes, this one is true. The very last one. The graph below shows the amount of force needed to stretch a certain spring to various distances. Which of the following best represents the differences between the amount of force in pounds needed to stretch the spring to 10 inches and the amount needed to stretch it to 4 inches? So if we're looking at this graph, we see that distance is on the y and the force, the pounds, is in the x. So looking at 10, we see that it is 50. And if we look at 4, we see that it is 20. So if I subtract it, because that's all I need to do, we need to find the difference. 50 minus 20, H, 30. So that concludes your review, guys. So real quick, this is the schedule for midterms. Tuesday you're taking 3rd and 8th. Wednesday is 1st and 4th. Thursday is 2nd and 5th. And Friday is 7th and 6th. Look over these reviews because we might be asking you on Monday or Tuesday to do some problems on the board. Good luck!